How good's this? We are live on, I guess, a various amount of social media platforms right now. Welcome to AFL Today's Round 8 review, kind of almost finished show, because we are here before the Q Clash because Queensland, in their infinite wisdom, have a public holiday tomorrow. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly. I'm joined by two other blokes whose teams also won this weekend. First time this year, I believe, that all three panelist teams have won because the stats guy is in here because, let's be honest, North Melbourne, they don't win. I'm joined, as I said, by Marcus Barzano, who had a pulsating win on Thursday night.
Pulsating and frustrating. I think Stats Guy is still wiping away some tears that he will have to do for not only being hot, but also the Bell's Hot Chicken punishment, which will be on Tuesday. So check the socials out for that.
Yes.
We'll talk about more of that later. And also, Leo Malali, just a standard push through the covers for 4 there by Hawthorn with an easy 70-odd point win.
Yeah, g'day, Alex. I'm feeling good and welcome back. You've been away, so yeah, good to have you back with the lads.
I've timed it well. Like, I really timed it well. Like, missed last week after the capitulation against Gold Coast, where I was still in Hong Kong, thank God. Snuck off to Wagga for a few days and got to watch the game on the way home, so it was quite good. It was a great day. Shout out to Did the Swans win because he missed the second half of the Swans game today, but he's here now. As said, we are on YouTube and Facebook. Anything else, Leo?
I think those two.
Those two.
Yeah.
So if you get in the comments tonight, the best comment, we'll read them out, have some fun along the shows. We've got basically bang on an hour to get through this show, but the best comment is going to win an AFL Today shirt.
Yeah.
We all forgot to wear them because
I'm saving it for Tuesday.
okay.
I'm saving it.
Saving it for Tuesday. Okay. I've been away for 2 weeks. I don't know what is going on. Did the Swans win? Thank Christ for the stats, boy. You guys didn't do the cinnamon challenge. I personally voted for that. I'm very disappointed.
I think we all did. I think this whole couch did.
Yeah, okay. So we got outvoted by a lot of people there. But as I said, round 8 is almost done. So if you are watching along on YouTube or Facebook, please get along to our Twitter and TikTok and follow us there as well. And if you are on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe and notifications bell. So anytime we do a video, it does come up on your feed. Tonight, we will be doing the ladder check after this. So we will be back after the Q Clash to wrap that up and do the ladder check.
Yep.
So for people who are currently listening to this or watching this on Monday morning, we're going to be doing it in like 4 hours time. So we've got all of that going on. But we may as well rip straight into the round 7 results. We've got an hour. This could go absolutely anywhere. Round 7. I said earlier in the week that Thursday and Friday could be the worst Thursday and Friday ever. It didn't let me down because it absolutely was, where on Thursday night, Zach Merritt held on 9-11-65 to North Melbourne 9-8-62. Get into it, Marcus.
Do we have to cover this game?
I mean,
Do we have to? Can we just skip to? I think the footy started on Saturday at Mars Stadium in Ballarat.
No, what about the first quarter though? The first quarter started well.
First quarter was on fire, and I'm
what
like,
happened after that?
I'm like, oh, here we go. We could win this game by 10 goals. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be an easy watch. And then basically as soon as our work game got to the game, that's when it started going downhill. So I reckon I only saw about 5 Essendon goals for the entire game.
That's pretty great.
Essendon started well, but only kicked 3 after quarter time. But how do you win a game of football by only kicking 3 goals after quarter time? I think it was 1 in
You
each
play
quarter.
North Melbourne.
There were a lot of points. I feel like Essendon missed some really gettable shots late in the game too.
You know, it's a game that isn't filled with many highlights because it wasn't the game I was covering this weekend. I watched the KO Mini where half of the KO Mini is the first quarter and then they show behinds.
Yeah.
Yeah, geez. I didn't know they showed behinds in the KO Mini.
well, if you've seen my social clip on TikTok where I wore the Essendon toddler Guernsey, I was basically like that. I was playing under 10s footy for the majority of the game. It was a bit of a poor watch until the last final moments. North Melbourne, credit to them, they actually played quite well. Probably deserved the win. Got on top in clearances, inside 50s, beat us at our own game, but they just couldn't quite get over the line. With Zach Merritt, the man stepping up, particularly in the final quarter, winning a loose ball, Langford ended up missing, but also taking intercept marks in defence.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
He was just everywhere. And just, is he leading the Brownlow?
No.
Right now?
He could be, because who else is getting votes for Essendon?
Dawson?
Jordan Dawson.
Yeah, I was going to say Jordan Dawson could be in front. He got 3 yesterday.
He would have got 3 yesterday.
He had 2 average weeks, but he started off the season on fire. But your injury list as a Bombers fan, it's really starting to pile up now.
It is starting to pile up. We're going to get some players back, but obviously the Harry Jones one, as if they actually showed that without like a graphic warning. That. Because luckily that was only a dislocation. Didn't do anything bad.
Yep.
Ridley again, another soft tissue.
Yeah, that 7-year contract looks good right about now.
Yep.
Kane Corn's very happy.
We're just going to pay for all his surgeries.
Yep.
Ridley, the hamstring, and also Gresham
yeah.
had a little, I think it was a hamstring injury as well.
Yep.
So And not only did we suffer injuries, North, Jackson Archer
Yep.
as well.
Yeah,
suffer a
8
hammy.
weeks for a hammy's brutal.
That's a big hammy.
bad one.
That's a
He
bad
couldn't.
hammy.
He couldn't even
Yeah.
move his leg. That's when you know it's.
I just want to talk about the what is it? Finbar Malley shot on goal.
Oh,
when
felt
do the
so-
umpires ever call play on in
Nah,
that?
but it's definitely play
He
on.
went well over 30. Like, you
Okay.
can see the clock on the ground.
Definitely play on.
Yeah,
Even
right.
the North mate I was with said he's going to get called to play on. He has.
Okay.
It happened. I know it's such a sad moment for him because he got in such a
He
good
played
position
really
in the
well.
game. He looks good.
Yep.
Contested marks. He's got great reach. They call him the Moose. Stats guy would be very happy with him. And I think if you're a North fan, again you lose, and you bring in the likes of Parker and Darling to help you win these games, and they still lose. But Finbar Maley's a positive, I reckon.
Yeah,
Did the Swans
100%.
win is right. The Jones footage reminding him of Nathan Brown's broken
Oh,
leg.
yeah.
Absolutely. It was kind of gross. And I did not bully you. I just kindly reminded you that we were doing a live show tonight. And Brooke Watson, I don't think Toby Bedford staged or dived. I saw the reverse angle. It doesn't look good for Lewis Melican. We'll talk about that later. But North Melbourne, this is the final thing I want to talk about with this game. You are well past the point of these honourable losses and getting so close and so far.
Agreed.
You absolutely should have won in the last 2 weeks. It is not, we're going to learn how to win. No, you just win. You should have beaten Port Adelaide. You should have beaten Essendon. You can't leave it up to Luke Parker or Jack Darling or someone like Caleb Daniel. I know they're not all, your gun players.
But they brought them to the club for that reason.
It-
It's
they
the
need to
same
start
result.
winning.
It's the same result.
Exactly. You absolutely just need to win games of footy. Don't rely on you need a moment of magic to do it. You want to see who did it? Zach Merritt, gut running end to end that whole last quarter, got Essendon over the line. Maybe Kane Corns could be onto something. 29 touches, 1 uncontested for Sheasel. Where was his gut running all night?
I still thought he played quite well.
He
played
did
well.
play well, but I'm saying you look at the difference between Zach Merritt and him. There's the game.
I think the difference though is a few preseasons.
The difference is about almost 300 games. Well,
300
200
games.
200
I was
games.
about to say he's been around that long.
Um,
Kanga TV, we find new ways to lose almost every week. Yeah,
it's always the first quarter as well.
Yeah.
North Melbourne, they start off slow.
5 minutes
and
in, they're 3 goals down.
then, and then the damage is done. It was the same with Port.
It happened a few weeks ago when they got blown out by the Swans as well. They were just slow off the market, just getting going. But once things click, there's enough there to be excited after the last few weeks. I think it's not great, but it's also not a good sign for Essendon.
No, definitely not. Like a lot of the players that you think we need to stand up in like moments throughout that game, like you're talking about your Durhams and
Like even Peter Wright had a few shots and missed.
Yeah.
Peter Wright was
Kyle Langford as well.
uncharacteristically
Yeah,
missing.
normally- both
You're
good
still a
goals.
bottom 6 team. as
Oh
an
yeah,
Essendon
I'm not
fan.
saying we're anything better, but it's another take the 4 points and we got swarmed. We got you guys.
Yeah, you're gonna get thumped. And North Melbourne fans, as said by Kanga TV, shout out to Mans. They find new ways to lose.
They're creative with it.
They're just hurt. They're honestly hurt. Friday night, as if
Oh, boy.
Thursday couldn't get any worse, Friday decided to find a way to top it as St Kilda 14-10-94 defeated Freo 5 goals 3-33. At halftime, Fremantle had their third lowest score in the history of their club, not including the shortened COVID quarters. 1 goal.
Oh, 1 goal, 1.
1 goal, 1.
One
yeah.
goal, 1.
You can't forget about the point.
And actually, I think we need to give a round of applause to Fremantle. Good job, Freo. They beat Cooper Sharman by 7 points. Great effort to Fremantle.
He's a baller, so that's
I really
impressive.
rate Cooper Sharman. We can talk about him first if we'd like. 4 goals, 2.
Go nuts.
He's snapping the third. He's Sally for that one.
Yep.
Aka-like. I loved
Very
it.
good.
He's
Very
just
good.
he's a bit of a wily forward, I reckon. Like, gets in the right spots, good leap, very athletic, good kick for goal. He's not going to put pressure on or be a speedster down there, but he does enough. And I would like to see him and King play together, but King is obviously never
St
fit.
Kilda better off without King?
Yes, I don't think King is that good.
Well, considering he's always injured anyway, it doesn't help.
I've
I
kind
don't
of
think he's
forgotten
that
him, to be honest, like how he plays.
But you just have a look. St Kilda wanted the footy more, belted Freo around the contest. They won the clearance count 50-22.
Yeah, the clearances
and
were
contested
nuts.
footy, they won by about 48 as well. Like, Fremantle and St Kilda should not be playing on a Thursday or Friday night prime time for the rest of the year.
Yep, agreed. It's really interesting with the Saints. You look back last 2 weeks, especially 2 weeks ago against the Dogs, could not buy a clearance. And then 2 weeks later, it's the exact opposite. Fremantle, who are no slouches in the midfield, where you got Brayshaw, you got Sarong. I know Young got injured, but he's in there. You got Shai Bolton going through there. It's astounding to me that they win the clearance count by that much.
Yeah, but it shows the Dockers are reliant on too few players to actually win games. It's like if you shut down Brayshaw and Sarong, you're going to beat them because Hayden Young's spending more time on the injured list at the moment than he is out on the field. Jordan Clark isn't there yet. And then you look at the forward line. It's like Shai Bolton, for all the hype and fanfare that we talked about him in the offseason, he's, promised the world, delivered an Atlas so far. He's shown us some flair, but it's more sizzle than steak. Jai Miss can't get near the footy.
Well, he was the one tall that actually kicked a couple of goals.
And then that's it. When he's standing up, it's like, oh, okay, he's finally finding the footy. And my favourite player, Dick Cyclone, a.k.a. Josh Tracy, just
was invisible.
Nowhere near it.
Wilkie was fantastic on him, I thought. Not only kept Tracy to 0 goals, but he had, I think, 24 disposals himself it was. Yeah, 24 disposals, 14 marks. So it was a very good performance by Cal Wilk.
And Mark Jones, well, you get the Saints again on Friday night. Yes, I believe it's a celebration game against Carlton because they're the home team.
That's actually going to be
it's called the TDK Bowl, in all honesty. So
at the G as well.
Yeah.
Why would you ask for that fixture to be against Carlton at the G?
Because you had it against Collingwood last year and you don't want it against them again?
Well, they beat Collingwood, so
yeah.
you never know.
Did the Swans win? This is smart. So what's Fremantle's version of the 38th parallel? Anything east of Adelaide. They've won 3 their games in Perth. They've won a game in Adelaide, and they've not won anywhere else.
Yeah.
And they did lose to the Swans in Perth, obviously.
The
So
game in Adelaide was Richmond as well.
anything east of Adelaide is what Freo's parallel is right now.
The right side of the tic-tac-toe board isn't looking too good.
Yeah, it's
Right
not
side
good
of
for
the
them. But it's also like Justin Longmuir pre-says, we just played a vanilla brand of footy. Yeah, you still are. And Simon Garlick, CEO of Fremantle, who unequivocally said that Longmuir will be in charge of round 1 next year. You can still change your mind, mate. You can still change your mind.
That was one of the worst off-season weirdest contract extensions.
Well, no, this was a comment before the game. This is takes that age terribly like that.
Yeah, but even throughout this year, I didn't see enough signs in preseason that hold on. They're never going to be a premiership contender.
No, they are utter frauds, and I'll say it right now. Will not win the grand final this year. Done.
Yeah, they're done.
Fan bases, St Kilda, we've got them in the comments. They're happy. They're like, this is great. We're still winning games of footy.
Yep.
A couple of weeks will look bad, and then we'll pop up and win every 3rd or 4th week just to show you that we can do it. But we're tanking for Tassie to get more draft picks in. And Freo are just like, oh yeah, this ain't good.
Yeah, Freo fans, I don't think they can trust their own team at the moment.
Now, let's get across to Bailey Smith's favourite ground, Mars Stadium, on Saturday. Western Bulldogs 131 defeated another team who are absolutely positively not going to win the grand final this year. Port Adelaide 5-11-41. Bevo in.
Are the Power going to make finals? They're not even going to make finals, so how are they going to make the grand final?
Well, I said they wouldn't make finals at the start of the year, so I'm on board.
We got to kick this off by saying, are the Dogs sneaky premiership contenders?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're in the best 4 sides right now.
Yep.
They're playing some good football. There's something going on at the kennel down there.
If the Dogs can go up to Darwin next week and beat Gold Coast, they will go into flag hunting in the power rankings.
I think they're in the
I've got them in the top 6 chase for now.
Yeah, okay.
Along with Adelaide and a couple of other teams.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think they're probably the second best team in the competition at the moment.
Yeah.
They're in the top 2, 100% for me.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's come from not only the Bont being back, but also just goals from midfield in general.
Yeah.
The new look midfield of Richards, Libba, Bont.
It's revitalised.
Fraser going in there at times, the mini Bont.
It's what happens when you get rid of Caleb Daniel.
Yeah, Caleb Daniel.
And McRae.
Smith didn't play.
Smith didn't play last year.
And Trelaw just coming back. He had 27 and a goal. He was great, but because everyone else was so good, you didn't even notice him. And one of those men who was so good was Tim English, just around the ground. I think he loves Ballarat.
Tinglish.
Yeah, if he can do that for the rest of the year, the Dogs are probably 3rd pick. Like instantly just bang, they're their 3rd pick. If you can get Sam Darcy back in at the back end of the year, they're probably almost top, maybe top pick. Like if they get it all going, well, last year they were probably a top 4 side that didn't get going to round 16. And this is me saying it. I flipped my script on the Dogs. I'm chips in on them.
Yeah. All Bevo. I guess Dogs fans must be zipping their lips at the moment because they wanted Bevo out before, but we ask them that question now. They say,
you Bevo in, but you also look at from the Port Adelaide side of things, like how they've gone the last few weeks from belting Hawthorn, looking like a premiership contender, going to Sydney and beating the Swans at the SCG, and then getting pumped by 90 and just getting nowhere near it all day.
Yeah, you kind of felt like it might have been coming. That might be harsh to say, but in the last 3 wins, at some stage, the team has come back.
Yeah.
So like Hawthorn were never in it, but they came back.
Should have lost
came
to Sydney.
back really late, and North came back from quarter time onwards.
Yeah.
So you kind of felt that maybe the loss was coming. I didn't think it would be by, 80 points, 90 points?
Yeah.
which is nuts
Well,
to think of. But
Yeah, in the midfield, Port, they actually started quite well.
Yeah,
They
in
won
the
the
clearance,
first 10
yeah.
clearances of the game. And then from there, they lost the clearance count 49-20 after that point,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is just ridiculous.
Yeah, so the Dogs are now 10 wins from 14 games in Ballarat. I know they had the smaller crowd, which you've written
Should
down.
they have played there?
They've got it. They've got a contract.
I know, but when there's so much work being done around the ground and you can't even get 5,000 people into the game?
Well, the crowd capacity was about 5,000
Yeah.
compared to 11, but they're getting paid a stack of money by the Ballarat Council and local government, so they've got to play there. Did the Swans win is probably right. Porter probably side with the biggest difference between their best and the worst, a position the Dogs had a few years ago. That feels absolutely correct.
Yeah, and they've definitely closed that out now, the Dogs, which is why I think they can, if they continue in this vein of form, there's no reason why they can't reach a prelim.
Fan base, I think the Dogs are just like, oh yeah, no, we can do something. We get Sam Darcy back, like we're good to go. Like this is like they've kicked Jamar out of the universe. I've missed all of that in the last week, but I know he's never coming back. Simple as that, and they can just move on and win games of footy.
Yeah,
and Port Adelaide,
Porter, like at least we banked the wins when we were a little bit out of form.
yeah, but they've got a showdown this week, and every
That's
chance.
a 50-50.
I think they just
No, they're going to get pumped.
Showdowns for me are like the
Form
derbies,
goes out
which
the
we'll touch
window.
on.
Yeah.
Form
Day
goes
goes
out
out the
a
window.
little bit. I
Porter
think it's
now
50-50.
4-4, and a good chance if results don't go their way next week, they could slide to maybe 15th or 16th.
where they deserve
Really?
to be.
15th
Yeah.
or 16th?
Well, because
Oh, all right.
I think Richmond and the Swans will win next weekend. I don't know who the D's are playing, but yeah, there's a
These
chance
are
they
playing
could.
Hawks.
Okay, they won't win, so they might be 15th then next week. Let's go to the Adelaide Oval. The twilight game as Adelaide put an absolute hurting on Carlton, 16-14, 110, Carlton 7-8-50. Shout out to Social Gal Spence. She was on a cute date with her partner, and
I think it was their 1 year.
Yeah, congratulations.
yeah.
the desk Rory Laird was doing plenty, and Carlton got smashed. So she was really conflicted because it was her favourite player. Adam, can we calm down the Dogs being good? They've beaten North and Carlton when in poor form, Saints, Port and Ballarat, and GWS, who are now a questionable top 8 team.
I think that's so harsh.
They've
That's
smashed
so
them, though.
harsh.
Like,
Their losses
They
are
lost
very
to
good
Collingwood and they only lost by a goal.
probably should have won that game.
Which they
3-0
probably should have
away
won.
as well, which they were coming hard late in that one.
Yeah.
Another quarter, they win that
And
game.
the wins that they've had, they've belted teams as well.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
we can sort of, if they go and beat
You won't be
Gold
winning
Coast
the
next
t-shirt,
week.
Adam.
Yeah, he's going to get a t-shirt
Definitely
anyway.
on his side.
So my note on this before I got into the rest of the game was Adelaide really good, Carlton god awful.
Yeah. That has to be one of the most disappointing games of the entire round. Because I thought this would be the game of the round.
So I sent my tips to Leo on Tuesday, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll tip Adelaide. Then I saw like the injuries and changes. Oh yeah, I'll change the Carlton.
Yeah, you tipped Carlton. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I changed the Carlton when I saw the Adelaide injury list, and I thought Fogg wasn't going to play either.
Yeah.
And then I was off for a couple of days, and I was just like, that was a bad idea.
Well, Thriller did his finger again.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he did his
he-
finger again.
mate,
He dislocated it.
He
again.
had more taping than when Travis Cloak had that glove on. There was more stuff on that hand than that glove.
Yeah.
It was a dominant display from the midfield of Adelaide. Like Jordan Dawson finally started hitting some targets. And remember how we said at Gather Round, he got plenty of the footy, but he was just
The
butchering it
impact
all
was-
over the
yeah,
place.
Yeah, you'd rather him have 20 and kick a couple like he did
Yeah.
than 30 and butcher it.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He finally got on top of it. But then you look at Alex Neilbull and Fogg, Keys, Rochelle, Rankin sharing the goals, kicking 2 goals each. You know, the Thriller only kicked 1, but he played a bit in the ruck, and his agility and athleticism around the ground actually paid off against TDK a few times. So I thought that was good. And you just have a look at Carlton. Cripps and Hewitt, they do their thing. They have 50 touches between them. That's really about it, because it's the same old story. It's too few and too little doing anything for Carlton.
Yeah, I think as well, they let themselves down defensively. Throughout this season, they've been ranked the 3rd best defense, and everyone was talking up their defense, saying Carlton,
Yeah.
they're
the
not that
problem.
bad. They're not that bad. And yeah, they were all at sea, I reckon, defensively. Get people guarding. Like the communication was off. It just wasn't.
The problem is
right.
with Carlton, when momentum goes against them, there's a 10-minute spell where they just concede way too many goals.
Now, did I say either in a group chat or on a show that Max McElhaney is not getting the chat
I
that
think
he
you said
deserves?
both. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And I just think Adelaide they feel like they're another midfielder and a key defender away from being like legitimate contenders. I don't think they can win the flag, but they can make a run.
Do they make finals?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if they do that, they will make finals. But a
problem is-
bit of a watch on them away from home.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The problem is we see this at Adelaide Oval, and that's all well and good. But when they played the better teams at Adelaide Oval, like
Yeah.
the Geelongs, they lost that game. And then also away from home, they look like half the club.
Yeah, so they've got a showdown this week, and if they win that, they go to 6-3. And having a look at sort of their schedule over the coming weeks as well, like then they've got Collingwood at the MCG, big game. They should beat West Coast. Sydney at the SCG is a big game. Brisbane at home, and then they've got Hawthorn at Tassie before the bye. So
Yeah, it's a rough.
if they can win
month.
4 of them, you'd say they'll play finals because they'll be
Yeah.
9 wins at that time at least.
Yep.
You have a look at the stats though for Carlton. So this is where we smack Carlton. Negative 69 disposals, negative 18 inside 50s, negative 26 hitouts, negative 8 clearances, negative 10 centre clearance, negative 17 contested possessions, and negative 63 uncontested possessions.
Yep.
They've just been thumped around the footy and everywhere all over the park, and it shows in the scoreline. 30 shots to 15.
Negative.
What? I was just going to add in negative there.
Negative 15 shots.
Yeah, as I mentioned, they let themselves down. They were battered everywhere around the ball, weren't they?
Are we at the point where we just say they are not good and they think they are, but they're not?
I don't think they're good. That win
That-
against Geelong is confusing. me,
Paper
though.
over the cracks.
Yeah, but you see that in so many competitions sometimes. Like you'll see, we're EPL guys, you'll see Tottenham knock off a Manchester City at home and then they'll lose to Leicester City.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Carlton are.
Well,
Did you just call Adelaide Leicester City?
No, I just called Carlton Tottenham.
I just think Carlton's B grade and C grade players.
Yeah.
They're just not good enough to compete.
No.
Towards it,
Uh,
like when it gets to the end of the season.
It's what I said after round 3. It's what happens when you spend 3/4 of your salary cap on your top 5 players. It works in under 14s, doesn't work at the top level of footy.
8 of their players didn't even hit 10 disposals.
Yeah, that just shows everywhere. So fan bases, Adelaide are like, yeah, sick. Can we do it in the showdown next week? And Carlton are like, oh boy, not great.
Yeah, not ideal. We thought we were past it.
Yeah. Who's that? Is that? I can't even pronounce that bloke's name down there. Tips of the Q Clash.
Quavius.
We will get to that by the end of the show here. And did the Swans win is probably right. Tigers versus Swans early last year in a bit of an upset. Yeah, we saw that, but we may have seen that with who have Richmond beaten? Gold Coast.
Yeah.
That's that result this year, I think. Let's get to the MCG game of the round stuff here.
Don't need long on this one, do we?
Apparently the umpiring was bad.
Collingwood
lost, by the way. Collingwood 87, Geelong 90.
There was that trip that definitely was a trip.
I thought it was a trip. I
Yeah, I
don't
thought it definitely
know why
was.
people thought I was holding the ball.
Yep.
Can't tackle the legs.
But nevertheless, the Pies, they had chances to win it. So they obviously came storming home. And then if Chris ended up kicking that winner after the siren, I'm calling scripting. I'm calling that AFL a scripting game.
So you're on board with former boss of ours, Charlie, who thinks that there's like a full-on scripting thing, and every year the AFL has who they want to win.
How does that? How
if
is
they
it
won that
scripted?
game, because it was just written in the stars, it was crisp in
At
his
what-
record-breaking game.
At what point do we say his record's fraudulent because he was the sub once?
No, but
He'll
he's
just
still
play
fit and
next week.
available to play.
He was the
We'll
sub.
just play next week then.
Doesn't count.
Do they manage him now that he's beaten that record?
No.
Just give him a rest.
Get to 250.
No.
It's 245.
Yeah, you got to get to
I think
250
he
though.
should play till he's 50. Run him into the ground. Look, I think it was that third quarter where Collingwood were on top but didn't really put the scoreboard pressure on, and Cats got their chance early in the last, and there was one man for Geelong. One old grumpy. No, he's not grumpy, but
He's
old.
grumpy.
It is grumpy, and it was Patrick Dangerfield.
Yes.
He finished the game with what do you have? 29 and a goal.
His last quarter as well.
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
insane.
Like it, just look the footage of him just bursting through packs and just using the raw pace and strength that he has.
Yeah.
Not only to do it both up in the air and on ground. He just rolled the clock back 5-10 years.
How's it rolling the clock back when he's been doing it all year?
He has, but he's had like 1 and 20, 2 and 15.
Yeah, but
he
against
hasn't.
Adelaide, against Hawthorn.
Yeah, but I don't think he's
That's the third time in the last 5 weeks he's done it.
But I don't think he's necessarily won those games off the back of his shoulders. Whereas this one,
I reckon that
think he
Adelaide game he did.
I think he did.
Yeah, Adelaide.
He kicked 3.
Hawthorn, I'd
that game.
argue
3 or
as well,
4.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Do we want to chat about Bailey Smith?
All right, where do we want to start?
Well,
with Baz?
how about we start about his performance? Because he played well. He's been playing well this season, and we'll give him his kudos. But he's
Let's go back a little bit to where he flipped off a fan 3 weeks. It was flipped off a fan
At the Adelaide game.
that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
when
That's where it all
Dangerfield
starts.
copped abuse all game, and apparently some very unscrupulous things were said.
That's where it starts.
And he's flipped off the Adelaide fan, which it's after the game, and they're carrying on like
I love
idiots because
that.
they've lost. Not mad at it.
Can I? So after the game against
Collingwood.
Collingwood, I was like, who'd they play again? Collingwood. He got asked 82K at the G.
How good?
How good's that? You don't get that at Ballarat. He responded.
Oof.
It's pretty funny.
Can I say
It is funny.
I love it. I want more of it. But it's so clear he's got nothing going on in his head.
And you hear,
There is a monkey clapping in his head.
But it's also like he's very salty, and there's some stuff that's happened that we don't know about that's
Yeah,
happened at the
behind the
Dogs
scenes.
that he's very dirty about.
I don't reckon there is. I just reckon he wants
Nah.
to pump
Well, they
himself
played-
up, pump the rivalry up. I don't reckon there is.
They play each other in a few weeks,
Yeah,
so we'll
round
find
11.
out. Round 11.
But
And
then Bont
the
gave him a
clapped back
little
as well.
Yeah, Bont's just
Imagine
Clive
how
was
much
class.
you like to get on, not to get under Bont's skin, but how much they don't like you for
Yeah.
Bont to clap back.
He didn't really clap back though. He just stated the facts.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
and
less people to flip off. Isn't that what he said?
yeah, he said less people to flip off at Ballarat.
At Ballarat, yeah.
But I think I want to see more of this stuff. I'm
think
a
it's
big
just a bit of-
advocate for it. It will come back to bite him. I think it's similar to Ginnivan last year, and I think
What, when Ginnivan had kicked 6 and had 30 against
when
Collingwood?
Ginnivan said, "See you next."
Oh, yeah, see you in 2 weeks to
see you in
Grundy.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think there could be an opportunity where it does come back to bite him. And then everyone will jump on him and be like, "Oh, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that." No, it's great for the game, and
I
it
like-
builds
it is.
storyline.
And Bont clapping back is great too,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
because that's the thing I don't know when that game is, if it's a Friday or a Saturday, if it's Channel 7, Fox Footy, whoever. If that's not in the promo packages, those grabs,
Yeah, it will be,
leading up
100%.
to the game, like we're not doing anything. Like, this is the stuff that we should do. And I'll talk about GWS later because they do that with the Swans all the time. This is the stuff we like to see. It's obviously there's some tension there from what's going on with Bailey Smith and the Dogs. And Bont to clap back a little bit. It just makes the game a bit spicier. There's no you're not abusing someone, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. To try and make your point where we see in build-ups like boxing matches and things like that. This is like, no, we don't like each other.
It's not like personal though, in a way.
No.
It's just sort of saying
They
little
had a-
cheeky jabs at each
They
other.
had a breakup and
Yeah.
there's still some bitter feelings there.
It's good. We've seen more personality this season, and then
Yeah.
it's in so many of the previous seasons combined. And that's what we want to see.
And I think finally the media's are finally on board with like, yes, we want players' personalities. We're in the past, but like, no, we don't like that. Don't do it because it doesn't fit our narrative.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh no, we need this in the generation that we're in now
Yeah.
with TikTok and Instagram, everything taking over and everything being short clips. Like you see that in a 30-second grave, like, oh, I'm going to watch that. But
Mark was completely right. It was a brilliant game last night.
Yeah.
Probably the game of the year already.
I'm still sticking with Geelong Hawthorn.
But it's that was a bad game. Both teams wanted to lose that.
Easter, I thought it was great.
But Mark said it was closer than the result of the election, which was also on the same day.
And that's the only time we'll talk about politics on this show. But do we want to sort of talk more about this game as well? Like, Bailey Smith is having a phenomenal year as far as his
recruit of the year.
100%. Matthew Kennedy probably second.
Yeah.
But you also look at what they paid for each other as well. But you look at he's averaging 30 disposals this year, up from his average of 23. It's up there with, remember in 2021 in the finals where he was just the man?
Yeah.
Well, it's what he wanted. He wanted more midfield time. And with the Dogs, they just got such a star-studded midfield.
And he obviously wants to be the man as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think, and
And
he's
we've
got that sort of aura about him.
Probably haven't given Collingwood enough, like, chatted about them enough. Like, I thought Darcy Cameron was awesome in the ruck.
He was. Sure.
I know that was it Stanley went
got
down
some,
early,
yeah.
so yeah, that doesn't help. But 38 hit outs, he kicks an amazing left foot boonana.
Yeah. Did he mean it?
No.
No,
Did he mean
no, he didn't.
Well, can you count that then? If that's in the
Yeah,
goal of the year contenders.
Oh no, it's not goal of the year contender. No, leave me out
in
of
the
that.
week in the 3 weekly goals of the week.
No.
Can
it's
it be
not-
in there if
no.
he doesn't mean it?
I'd have to watch more footy to remember what happened.
Well,
this one. Cooper Sharman.
Cooper Sharman, there was there one in the City game?
Not that I can remember.
Oh,
that was
I swear I got an AFL notification.
oh,
about it.
Stringer pulled one out of his backside, but it was a fluke.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that
But yes, steel side bottom continues to be good. Josh Dacos good, and Pendles is just fantastic. What was with his like weird? How you doing? Celebration.
I don't know. I didn't catch
Yeah,
it.
okay. It felt a bit weird. Anyway, Nick Dacos was, even though he had nearly 30 touches, he was a bit off it, I thought.
Cheapies.
No, not cheapies. But I think also this, I'm still not convinced on Collingwood. I know everyone's like, oh, you're an idiot. Why aren't you convinced on Collingwood? There's something missing for Collingwood.
Really?
I
see it.
still don't like the forward line. I still don't like it. I know my checks kicked 4-3. I just don't like the forward line.
I still see them as
They're going to win the flag, and I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, of course they won the
Yeah.
flag. But I still don't know.
I mean, they won the flag 2 years ago with a similar forward line.
Yeah, I know.
I think that I think the forward line is okay for me. It's more maybe the back line. Can you kick a bag on Darcy Moore?
Yeah.
more about Geelong though. Like their midfield
They're finding ways to win.
they're finding ways to win, but their midfield never really seem to dominate, and it's not very inspiring. Bailey Smith has been killing it, obviously, but Max Holmes
A
is
lot of workhorses.
I've expected a little bit more from him, and Tom Atkins.
If you
like, he
tag
gets
Max
20.
Holmes, you're going to beat Geelong.
Interesting.
That's my theory.
Well, he didn't have a great game either. I don't think he only had the 20 and
Yeah.
didn't hit the scoreboard.
So fan bases, Collingwood fans are blaming umpires. That's all I've seen this morning on the internet.
that's all I've seen.
They're blaming umpires. You kicked 12 goals, 15. Got yourselves to blame.
Yeah,
And
Chance.
Geelong are just like, sick. Another win. Another dub. This is great.
Finals
if
for
only
yet
they-
another year.
but you'd still be spewing that loss against Carlton.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
it could beat Carlton.
That's fine.
easily.
Let's get across to Optus Stadium. The West Coast Eagles did put up a bit of a fight. 11-10-76, defeated by the D's. Max Gorn actually 16-12, 108.
It
Yeah,
was
they
ridiculous.
were up by about a goal, I think, early in the second West Coast, or was it late in the second?
Late in the second.
Late in the second, and then McGovern went off, and they were a bit all at sea down back. Interesting though, the D's dominated territory. Even when West Coast got a bit of a run on, the inside 50 count was always in favour to Melbourne, and I just think maybe McGovern going off, the bit of an experienced backline with sort of the likes of Jimby down there. You know, Oscar Allen learning the position. I think Melbourne finally were able to get through as the game went on. I thought Daniel Turner, I don't really rate him, but he found some form, 3 snags, and track carried Clary's
Absence.
load. I thought in the midfield he was superb. But I think the biggest talking point out of this game was one man. Can we guess?
Maximum
The
Aurelius
Supercus.
Gornicus.
Matt
the
Flynn.
superhero.
No, Max Gorn. Yeah, what a game. 198 Supercoach points. I know that isn't everything to the average AFL fan out there, but he was absolutely superb. I think he had around 25 disposals.
Gone.
35.
Yeah,
35.
35,
I
mate.
thought that was a
35.
typo.
No, 35.
35.
35, 47 hit outs and a goal.
He
Not
seemingly
bad
does this a
yourself.
couple of times a year. And just as I said that, did the Swans win? Gordon pulls the game like that out of his backside twice a year.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
also,
that's stiff. I reckon he does that on the regular.
35 touches, though.
I think a
Clear
lot of
career
people were
best.
questioning
Gun.
Gorn at the start of the year, and his last 2 weeks have just been, in particular, have been absolutely
Yeah,
phenomenal.
he's raised his hands to the AA selectors.
Yep, and I
Oh,
think he's
yeah.
trying to carry Melbourne on his back. Obviously, worked this week against West Coast, although albeit not too convincing.
Yeah.
He's definitely one that you can rely on.
Yeah. The game sort of flipped when McGovern went down as well. And Bo Allen's been given a week for his clip on Viney as well.
I think that was fair. He was apologetic over it. You could
Yeah,
tell no
but it
malice.
was just, it was very silly. And what did we think about the Clary week off? We just like,
I've heard it's a bit longer than a week.
okay, because I was just like, oh, they're going to Perth.
Mm.
Just chill out. Like, they're going to beat West Coast. Just relax.
As long as he's keeping his fitness up, which
Yeah.
I'd say he is, I don't have an issue with it. I think
Yeah.
the importance of mental health for players nowadays is pretty imperative. So
He's earned the respect back of the playing group. So as long as he
you'd hope so.
keeps his head down
Yeah.
and keeps going,
West Coast showed enough for me that they'll win a game or two this year.
I think they will. They're a chance against Richmond, but
that is
Yeah,
at the
it's at the
MCG.
MCG.
They'll knock off a team like North, or they'll get someone that comes over after they've had a bye, like maybe I don't know. Sorry,
Freo.
Essendon have already been there,
That
but-
could be Freo.
or Carlton even. Yeah, like a team that goes over
St.
there
Kilda?
after a bye. I don't know West Coast fixture. If a team has a bye, has to travel to Perth Sunday 4:40. West Coast get up and about like we're a chance here, and they knock them off.
I
think
thought that
McGovern
was
has to be
this game
playing.
though. I thought that was
Yeah,
this
you did-
game. I
you-
tipped him. So did Marcus.
I
and-
tip him.
You were very keen on them there. I saw that. Fan bases West Coast like McGovern. This is going to get ugly. What are the odds for West Coast not to win all year? I think
They'll
it was.
win.
I think it was. I think there was something like $31 around for a team to not win this whole season at the start of the year.
They'll
That
win.
included Richmond, and that ended in the first week.
They'll
Yeah,
win a
that'll win.
game.
They'll win a game. They'll 100% win a game.
Are they better than Richmond?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Are they better than North?
No. I'd back North to beat them.
Depends which North rocks up.
Yeah, Luke Parker. Fan
Luke Parker
and
rocked
D's fans are like, that's
These
good.
fans just like expected challenge next week against Hawthorn.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can they lift against Hawthorn next week?
Yep.
Let's get to the SCG. My beloved Sydney Swans finally decided to do a thing because you know what they do against GWS? Win, win, win. That is 7 consecutive derbies across the AFL and AFLW to the Sydney Swans.
There you go.
As I said on Twitter earlier, GWS all week and including their banner, they'll just talk a bunch of rubbish that their players can't cash, which they should continue to do because it's all in good fun. It's harmless banter. It's good for the game and it grows it. And the Swans just sit back and take dubs.
Yeah, that's it. And do you have anything to say to me?
No.
Yeah.
No, come on.
No.
Come on.
Do it.
No.
God, you're just
Absolutely
acting like my girlfriend, not saying sorry.
Oh! Bang.
No, I apologize.
Maddie getting the cop out?
No, Maddie, she shout out. She
must have the
sorry.
patience of a saint.
Yeah, she does. She does. Shout out. She actually wanted me to give her a shout out.
Oh, did she?
Oh.
Thanks for watching, Maddie. So I took notes just throughout the game. So I got different notes as the game went on. The boys on True Bloods are going to come in absolutely up and about.
Off the long run?
Not off the long run. I think they'll just be happy. Like, I had a chat with Deebs after the game. It was ugly, but the Swans got the job done. But, like, I took sort of quarter by quarter notes. Like, I had 4 or 5, like, points per quarter. It's like, in the first quarter, it was good to see that Heaney and Warner, like, they were up for this game straight away. They were getting their hands on the footy. They were good through the corridor, and their forward entries were as good as they've been all season. And the Giants were really slow to get going, and they were reactive rather than proactive, and then they were starting a little bit of fights when the Swans were kicking goals. They were getting into them, and the Giants were giving away silly free kicks and silly 50s. Talk about the free kick count later because it was disgusting.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And Aaron Cadman is very good.
Yeah.
Like, I saw people saying, oh, he hasn't done enough as a number 1 draft pick. He's a key forward. Once he puts on another 5 kilos, he is going to be a very, very good footballer.
Yep.
He can take a good mark. He can kick a long bomb. He's got a great left peg. He is a serious footballer.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of time. But Alex, talk to me about Joel Hamling.
Oh, master stroke.
Masterclass.
Master stroke by Dean Cox. Shout out to all the people who are like, oh, Dean Cox can't coach. What's he do? Bam! Just destroys the best defender in the competition with Joel Hamling.
Those comments as well about Cox I thought were a bit stiff considering it's been 6 games.
And they're without a third of their team.
Yeah, and it's just also like, I don't know, I feel he's inherited a list that's obviously expected to make a grand final at the very least based off recent years. He's probably still learning a lot about coaching. So I don't think it can be too harsh on Cox at the moment.
No.
The big question is, are you back?
Do it again against Essendon next week and I'll believe it. That's the main thing.
Stats
You
guy
believe it if you
actually-
beat Essendon.
No, but it's winning 2 games in a row. And also, stats guy saying
He
the
ruled
Swans.
you out.
Stats guy saying the Swans can't make the finals. Did he not remember Brisbane were 2-5
That's
last
what I
year?
tried to remind him on the show.
And also Hawthorn were what? You were 1-7,
Yeah.
1-6.
That's what I was telling him.
Yeah.
Fell on deaf ears.
Stats guy don't know ball. Just proving
He
it once
doesn't.
again.
Well, he
He
was at the game
doesn't.
today. He was at the game.
Yeah, he
so-
was. He was cheering for the Giants. And I was
Pretty
like,
heavily.
oh
Did he
well.
buy a scarf or something?
He was near the Swans cheer squad actually. I saw it where his seat was on Instagram. He was right behind where the Swans cheer squad was. But the umpiring in this game, and this does have like the free kick count for the game was 27-9. GWS got 27 free kicks. Now, don't get me wrong, plenty of free kicks are there.
Because of the scraps and all
Because
that.
of the scraps and everything else, and maybe a high tackle or some holding the balls. There was a holding the ball against Heaney, which probably should have been a free kick to Heaney, that the GWS then got a 50 for. Like, Laura Kane comes out and says, oh, the umpiring is as good as it's ever been. And not just in this game, but in other games across the weekend, we have seen that the umpiring level is not up to the standard. And I don't know why the commentators on this game were so reticent to comment on it. Because if you're watching a game and something's not up to standard, you are allowed to call it out. It is your job as a media professional to do so. And that's why I'm happy to say the umpiring at the moment is pathetic. It is god awful. They need more oversight and not just, oh, no, it's all right, boys, we'll back you up. It's okay here and there. There are a lot of wrong decisions made or interpretations made by the 4 different umpires on the ground. And it's not good enough for the greatest game in Australia.
Yeah, they don't know. Like Thursday night was a prime example.
A lot of free kicks in
Where
that
the Constanti just booted it away after the ball was called for a throw up. Then they called a North Melbourne free kick right in front of the goal. And then they're like, oh, wait, no, let's actually just ball it up.
Yeah. And then did the Swans win? The Swans got 1 free kick for the entirety of the second half. Like, that seems very weird.
I didn't see majority of that second half to necessarily comment. But
there was
if
probably
they-
3 or 4 times like, oh, that's a free kick. So like if they'd had 3 or 4, it would have been like, okay. But I just thought the umpiring in this game was not up to standard. Lewis Melican's probably going to get a couple of weeks for his hit on Bedford.
I reckon he gets 3 minimum.
When I first saw it, I was like, I think he's got him in the ribs there and he's landed on his face. And then you see the reverse angle. He's like, it's gone under his arm and sort of clipped him on the way through.
Chin.
It looks really weird the way with Bedford's arms going up. I thought the umpires kept giving ducking free kicks. I wrote that down there. GWS really worked into the game in the second quarter with a lot of pressure and good ball movement. And then in the third quarter, the pressure just really intensified. Justin McInerney, his kicking this year. Oh my God. It has been horrendous. Yeah. He missed an absolute sitter. He should have straightened up, kicked a goal. At one point in the second half, the Swans had kicked 3 goals, 10. They should have put this game to bed. The Sydney Swans should have won this game by 7 or 8 goals. They should have absolutely thumped them, but they allowed GWS just to sort of hang around. This one's went, okay, that's enough of you. And Joel Hamling, I wrote there, been very good on Taylor. I thought Caden Cleary had his best game. Jordan did a great job on Whitfield, kicked 2 goals himself. Yep. My boy Beef, shout out to Polly Porridge. My boy Beef came on as the sub, had a couple of touches, got some clearances, kicked a goal as well. And is Jake Stringer the perfect sub?
He could be.
Package.
When you think about it, side note, it was a beef package as the subs today.
Beef packages. Well, how many of the next 6 do you win? Because did the Swans win? Said you got the Bombers, Blues, Demons, Crows, Tigers, and Port Adelaide.
They win 5.
5 of those 6.
Yeah. The Crows one's the coin flip for me. They'll beat the Bombers, Carlton's at home, the Demons at the MCG, Crows at home, Tigers at the MCG, and Port would be at the Adelaide Oval. So I think they'll win 4, at least 5. So what are they? 3 and 5 at the moment.
Yep.
So if they win 4 of them, that gets them to 7 and 7.
It's very
and with the injury list after the bye, you think of all the players that the Swans are going to have back. You're going to have Errol back. Errol's back after the bye, but you're going to have Mills, Papley, Amadi, who else is out? Cunningham's at the moment. I don't think we'll see Logan McDonald for the rest of the season though. So that's the one for me.
Matt in the comments says Laura Kane jumps in puddles. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to go a little bit off topic and have a little story time of the time I accidentally
jumped in a puddle.
No, I was driving. You know, when you drive, you see a big puddle and you're like, I'm going through that because that looks really fun.
Are you 12?
There's no one on the footpath next to me. Well, that I saw.
Yeah.
And I was driving and went in the puddle. I was like, oh, puddle. Turns out there was like 8-year-old girl with like a little raincoat on.
Oh, no.
And I absolutely drenched her. And then she went to go stand behind the tree and walked home, I guess. But
you are a terrible person.
I know. You go in a hole, but I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Andrew Tay. Hello from Canada. Nice to catch you, boys.
Big Cricket Today fan. Came over from Cricket Today onto AFL Today.
I love Canada. Have been there. Toronto is one of my favourite cities in the world.
Andrew, have you picked your football club yet? I know that was something.
Soccer or AFL?
AFL.
Okay.
His footy club. He was trying very hard. Or Statscott was trying very hard to get him to North Melbourne.
Yeah. Classic Marcus talking about. Yeah. Good stuff, stats guy. I thought Tom Green was quite good as well. He had 30-odd touches. He was in and under the contest all day. I honestly didn't notice Finn Callahan. There was a couple of times
he was good.
A couple of times GWS got on the break and he was there as the link-up player, but I honestly did not notice him throughout the game.
We had 21 at the halftime.
Yeah.
I thought he was decent, and he's still very young. He's working into his game.
Oh, he is. It was Chad Warner's best game of the season by an absolute mile. Like, you could see in the first quarter that he was up for it. And maybe finally signing that contract, his mind's off everything. And shout out to Don Pike, who said, hey, Chad, you've made a mistake re-signing for the Sydney Swans. Do we actually think that? Because when you think about it, he saved West Coast a bunch of money and all their draft picks. He's actually saved their future by signing for the Swans.
Yeah.
He could go there for free in 2 years.
They wouldn't have given up
3
too
picks.
much for him.
It's 3 picks for Chad Warner. And then you can't get those 3 kids in that you need. And if you lose Harley Reid and Oscar Allen, you're screwed anyway.
Yeah, which I think they will.
Matty Roberts is starting to butcher the footy this year too. Yeah, he was poor, but he's had some very good games as well. So I'm not ready to write him off there. Fan bases, the Sydney Swans, like, that's good. Can we do it again? Like, they just do it again next week and start to build the momentum as some of these players start coming back, because you could see in the second and third quarter that their lack of depth was showing. Mark Jones, True Blood's later in the week. Yes, it is, but this is also my time. I've been away for 2 weeks, so shush. And GWS fans, they're just like, oh, we've got a problem with losing to Sydney. And we are in free fall.
Yeah, they haven't been too impressive this week. I laid it out on Thursday as I was schooling you with my argument, Marcus, but they would want to win some pretty convincing games coming up.
And Stats Guys just reminded me, he said Toby Green was a myth today. Dane Rampy absolutely clamped him.
Yep.
And GWS, I'll say it, you will not win the grand final this year. You just lost to a team with the starting tall forwards of Joel Hamling and Aaron Francis.
Yeah, not great.
Done. All right, let's go to Leo's team. Hawthorn absolutely smacked Richmond 16-13 or 109. Richmond 6-8-44. Yet another game with many fights, as happened in the Swans GWS game.
Yeah, there's a bit of there's no love lost, as people say, between these two sides.
Why is there no love lost between
I don't know.
Hawthorn and
like,
Richmond?
Back to sort of maybe 2019 when Sicily was on Lynch and those two were having a bit of a fight. They were going to kiss at one point. I thought it was a bit weird, but
Irrelevant. I don't remember that.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like that's why it's sort of
Like, it's
built
not-
up. I don't know. It's weird.
But
like,
Richmond don't. I was speaking to one of my Richmond mates today. They don't necessarily have a rival.
Yeah, maybe it's
It's all
Hawthorn.
competition.
Maybe now we're building it with Hawthorn. Anyway, I just thought, having watched most of the second half, didn't catch the first half, but we always seemed to be running. Every time we sort of marked it, we had an emphasis on playing on. Just felt like Richmond were always a step off. Even there was like periods of congestion where we kind of stuffed around with it and overused it, and Richmond were just half a metre away from a tackle or laying a good block or something, and
It's
it
just
just
a
sort
difference
of
between a good side and
the fitness levels as well. I think
Yeah.
big difference. I want to give a shout out though to the two recruits, Josh Battle and Tom Barras down back.
Oh, Tom Barras.
Tom Barras, yeah, he was very good. I think was it the big diving spoil?
Yeah, the
to
big
save a goal?
diving, the full spray, Steven Silvani stop of a goal when Richmond had kicked 3 behinds at one point, and he's just like, nah, not going to let you kick a goal. Dived, got a
Yeah.
quick flick on it, and it stayed to 4. Went to Richmond 4 behinds. Like the game was done at that point, but that just shows the commitment.
Yeah.
Like this is the things that you want to see week in, week out, as opposed to when the Wizard played for a free kick, argued with the umpire, Richmond went down the other and kicked a goal and got dragged.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But there was a point early on where Richmond were doubling our inside 50s. It was 16-8. So Battle and Barras, just to sort of steady the ship, were super influential. Barras as well. Sorry, Battle, 33 and 12 marks. 33 touches, that is. So
I thought Mass was really good.
Yeah,
32 goals,
lethal
800
left
meters gained.
you don't cry about it though.
Yeah, no, I still can't believe it. I actually really love Mass. But
What a man.
we moved him in the forward line and the
killed
rest is
him.
history.
That goal he kicked in the last quarter was awesome.
Yeah, the set shot from the
Yeah.
corner. Yeah,
that
very
was
nice.
Great.
So yeah, look, not as a Hawks fan and getting into the fan bases, just good for percentage, I think, just to build that back up because it was down around 105 2 weeks ago. Now it's 125. So
Although I feel like in the last 5 minutes, you had the game won, so you didn't necessarily give up, but you also
Just
leaked
put
a
the-
few shots.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
they had like five scoring shots in the last 2 or 3 minutes, which it's a big change with them going from 30 points to 50 points.
Yep.
So there could have been a little bit of love lost there, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
disagree with you.
that.
Did the Swans win? Meters gained is the single most overrated stat in the footy. No, it's not.
Mm.
If you're getting the ball forward, you're a chance of kicking goals. This is when
Efficiently.
this is when Adelaide and Essendon were going wrong last year, when you had Darcy Parish, Crouch, and a few others having 35 disposals and gaining 12 meters.
Like, Parish has barely played in 2
That's
years.
what that's what I mean. When they were
yeah.
playing and they were just going backwards and sideways. You go forward, you're a chance of kicking the goal. GWS heard AFL Today had Sydney on fraud watch and said, hold my beer. That is correct. GWS are in frauds this week in the power rankings.
100%.
yeah,
They
and
deserve to be.
Yep.
as a Richmond fan, you're probably like, yeah, not great. The effort wavered when in other weeks they showed a bit of, I guess, fight late in games, even if they
Yep.
were getting smashed, and they didn't today.
Yeah,
So
but
they-
they're gonna do that every few weeks though. There's gonna be
will, they
games
will.
where they just get belted.
Yeah. Well, they start really slow and they finish really slow. It's that middle period where they can lock into those sort of games. It's
Yeah.
happened all year, but if they lose every game for the rest of the year by 7 to 10 goals, have they shown enough this year to be proud of?
Yes, because they've
Look
already won
forward
a
to.
couple of games.
Yeah.
And they've had a
they'll
couple of
win
tight
more.
losses.
They'll win more.
They'll win 3 games this year. I reckon they'll win. Yeah, they'll win 4.
They'll beat North.
Yeah.
They'll win next week. They're playing West Coast.
There you go.
Yeah, they'll win 4. How are you feeling as a fan, Leo? Banking it?
Banking it. Yeah. Good for percentage.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, as we
I
said
think
about
they're just hoping no injuries because West Coast last week, Richmond
They
this
seem to
week,
get one injury
Melbourne
a week.
next week.
Yeah.
Just stay injury free and you'll be happy.
All right, quickly, we'll touch on the Q Clash before we get away. Obviously, this is the last game of the weekend. It takes place in about 10 minutes' time, so we're going to get this done and get out so we can review the game later tonight. We'll be doing it a little bit different. We'll all be home and all cozied up, I hope. Brisbane, they're the favourites up against Gold Coast. This is the biggest Q Clash. You want to know why? Winner will be top of the ladder, ladies and gentlemen, watching the show. Winner of the Q Clash, top of the ladder tonight.
Yeah,
I love it.
I said on the Thursday show, Gold Coast win this, their best win ever.
Okay.
Could be. Yeah.
So I was listening to this show Friday morning. And I thought the Collingwood in 2023 when they beat them at home. Collingwood won the flag that year. Nick Dacos kicked those 2 amazing goals.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they held on. That's their best win at the
That's a
moment.
good one, yeah.
That's sick in the head that I know that as a
I was going to
non-Gold
say, I
Coast
don't
fan.
even remember that. How are we feeling about this one? I think Brisbane get it done.
I'm on the Suns.
On the Suns?
Really?
Just that avalanche against the Swans last week. 12 goals straight. They had no answer. I think off halfback, I think Gold Coast are much more dangerous. I also think the forward line of Gold Coast is better. I know that who was it that went down? Ben Long's not playing.
Isn't he?
I think he's out.
Ooh.
I think I read that this morning. I like the Gold Coast forward line more than I do Brisbane's because
Okay.
as we know, I'm out on Eric.
Yeah, I just think the impact of the Gabatoir, it will be too big. But yeah, you were correct. Ben Long out, Swallow in.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. But Swallow's probably the sub, so
Our sub is Jake Rogers for Gold Coast.
yeah, okay. Yeah, right. There we go. So you're tipping Brisbane,
Yeah, I think Brisbane.
Brisbane as well.
tipping Gold Coast. We'll wrap that up in a couple of hours' time. Tipping results so far. I can't believe I tipped Carlton.
Yeah, that was a bad one. I got 5/6. So I tipped St Kilda in this, but I tipped Freo in another comp because I forgot.
This is what he does. He covers his bases.
No, I
so
don't.
he's
I
right
just forgot
either
to
way.
tip St Kilda. I meant to tip St Kilda. So, and I tipped Sydney as well. So I'm very happy. Get stuffed. You GWS supporting.
I put
Flog.
my faith in the
You
Eagles.
flog.
And you got Melbourne as a correct tip, even though you tipped them on the
Actually,
Eagles
yeah,
on the
no,
show.
that meant to be.
So,
Eagles, yeah.
who's the fraud here? Put him in fraud. watch.
Actually, I could be
Yeah.
on 7 then because I
Yeah.
don't know. I've confused myself.
That doesn't take a lot of effort.
No, it doesn't.
Did the Swans win? What odds would you have gotten at the start of the season for the Suns to finish on top of the ladder at any round? Well, I had them starting the season 6 and zip.
Well,
So-
they have had, according to AFL champion data, the easiest start to a season out of any club.
I had before the Cyclone wiped out the first game against Essendon. I had them starting 6 and zip.
Yeah.
I had them up until the Swans game. I was like, oh, they might lose that against the Swans or Brisbane. I was like, they're going to be unbeaten up until the last 2 weeks. So I had them on top of the ladder now.
Well, Wookie in the comment section reckons that Brisbane will absolutely flog the Gold Coast Suns.
Wookie up and about. All right, let's go to the big core results. Side note: last week, I got mine.
We don't care. That was last week.
But
mate.
you
We're
didn't
talking
mention,
about this
you didn't
week.
mention it.
I think we
Don't
forgot
know. You
about
went
it.
here.
Yeah, I said the Suns had flogged Sydney.
Oh, well, I think we forgot.
Yeah, you did. So I got another one. Pies win by 5 goals. Whoops. Eagles beat D's
Is that
for
a
Marcus.
big enough big call?
What?
Just Collingwood winning a game of footy
but they-
by 30
By
points.
5 goals.
Oh, you look at your big call.
Yeah, you
Well,
had,
Eagles beat the D's. Yeah, but they haven't won a game this year.
And they lost.
yeah. And
I got close.
Fraser 25 and a goal. How'd he go?
19 and a goal, so half point.
What was the stats, boys?
He was Chandler 15 and 3. He had 26 and 1, I think.
I'll give him a half of that. 26
No.
and 1.
I'm handing out half points. Come
I
on.
got a half point.
Come on.
He gets a half point for that. Best on ground of the week. Hit it, Leo.
So we're going to start this off with third place.
Yep.
P. Dangerfield. One
You
vote.
go. Yeah, you ruined it though. You said third place, P Dangerfield. You go 1 vote, P
Oh
Dangerfield.
my God. Sorry.
Come on,
Mum.
you got to do it. You got to do it right.
29 touches, 1 goal. Insane last quarter. All right. Second place. 2 votes.
Which is very, very stiff.
This is controversial.
M. Gorn.
Who was better than Gorn?
35 touches.
It was
47
against West
hit-outs,
Coast. There is that weighting taken into
I know,
consideration.
198 Supercoach points, 1 goal, and just a bunch of aura. He's got aura, and that's just a fact. Thirdly, and I think the best player of the round this week, 3 votes.
Angus Sheldrick.
T.
Almeri.
Almeri. T. English, 27 touches, 3 goals if you don't mind, 30 hit-outs. A big reason why I have him over Gorn is because, as you mentioned, Port won the first 10 clearances of the game.
Yeah, that was
he,
wild.
He obviously wasn't having the impact that he wanted
Well,
to
it's
on the
coming up
game.
against Jordan Sweet.
Gorn was coming up against Flynn.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So English was able to turn the tide at quarter time and have an absolutely insane game back to his best form, his career best form that we saw, 2022, 2023? Which year was it? 22.
It was
22, yeah, 22,
Yeah.
21, 22, yeah.
27 and 3 goals. I think I'd rather that over 35 and a goal. Stiff as that is. Gorm was insane, but Tinglish.
Unfortunately, you can't share votes. So
No, I'm not.
there we go. Tinglish it is.
Hit us with the best on ground, the best team of the week, Marcus, as I'm trying to look up how many possessions Angus Sheldrick got in the twos because he played VFL after he played for the Swans.
The best team of the round. P. Dangerfield got the 1 vote for player, and similarly, Geelong are going to get the 1 vote.
G-Cats.
G-Cat. Oh, you want me to read out the teams as well?
G-Cats.
Okay, 1 vote, G-Cats. I just think coming up against Collingwood, who are the hottest team in the competition, and they had their backs against the wall after a couple of disappointing weeks, Geelong. Well, more than a couple of disappointing weeks. They earned the 1 vote. In at 2, going to go St Kilda.
S. Kilda, yeah.
S Kilda. S Kilda.
ST Kilda. thank you.
ST Kilda.
It's a hyphenator.
ST Kilda Saints. They get the 2 votes for me, keeping Fremantle to, was it their equal?
Really?
One of their lowest scores in the club's
Yeah.
history. 1 goal.
Man,
at
we're trying to
3/4
delete
time.
that game from our mind, mate.
I know, but I think they just definitely
I think
deserve
the
a mention.
Swans are a bit stiff not to get a vote here.
And
Oh, spoiler.
what? You want to get a footy by 2 goals? What are you
Outsiders. Beat the
Cats
Giants.
won a
talking
game by
about
3
that?
goals. That's
at
3
home as well?
points.
And you talked about your record against them as well, so you should be winning that game.
Interesting.
3 votes. W Bulldogs.
This is 2 weeks in a row now.
2 weeks
I
in a
think
row,
we've
they
done
deserve
W
to.
Dogs.
90 points in a blustering wind.
Very rare day to get scoring conditions at Ballarat.
Yeah, it was very windy, and just Port Adelaide couldn't make the most of it, whereas the Dogs could. And they're storming up the ladder. And like we said, are they premiership contenders? We think so.
Yeah. Don't mind it.
Where
Not
are the
against it.
Bombers sitting at?
Negative
probably
third.
17th. I reckon we get negative 17 votes.
Negative 70 votes.
Yeah.
All right, that is us done and dusted because the Q Clash is coming up, of course. So we'll be back later tonight to wrap up that game. Obviously, if you're catching this on Monday morning, nothing will change you. It'll genuinely be a quick transition. But in that part, we will be doing the wrap-up of the Q Clash as well as the ladder check, and that'll be about it. But we'll do the ending then. We'll wrap it up now. The winner of the T-shirt, and I'm giving it due to pure weight of comments, did the Swans win.
Oh, surprise,
Oh,
surprise.
here we go.
Come on, he was the best in the comments throughout the evening.
I reckon we have to have a sit down over the week and we'll assign the best person.
Whilst we're watching the Gold Coast Brisbane game, we'll have a look and we'll
Of
decide.
course we'll
then.
have a look.
But there's a very strong.
Yeah, did the Swans win is probably 99%
strong
chance of
say.
winning the shirt. Random start of the week. Swans are the first side this year to win after playing the Suns the week before. That is a great start.
Do we have to finish the show on a Sydney stat?
Hit them with an Essendon stat.
Yeah, go.
They're
We're
not very
shit.
good.
Without Zach Merritt, we would be cooked. All right, we'll catch you after the Q Clash to wrap up round 8 of AFL and AFL Today.